What's going on, Halo fans? LukeTheNotable here. In this video, we're going to be dissecting the mission Truth and Reconciliation on all 4 of its difficulties. We're also going to be looking at this mission in the old and new graphics throughout this video. This is one of my favorite missions, so playing it all the way through 4 times on all the difficulties was very fun for me, and it gave me a lot of insights into this mission and all of the differences between easy and legendary. Small disclaimer, I am not an expert when it comes to the Halo campaign. I am by no means a speed runner. I simply enjoy the difficulty that Halo's campaigns can bring, and I want to bring that to you guys as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the breakdown. Okay, so in this first part of the mission, the Truth and Reconciliation, let's just get some constants out of the way first. I'm first going to establish that easy mode in this game is very easy. Not necessarily a bad thing, but we'll get to that discussion later. Just for a quick comparison, I want you to notice how easily the assault rifle shreds through enemies on easy difficulty. There is a massive difference between easy and normal, and as you can tell on normal, my assault rifle isn't nearly as effective. The assault rifle becomes so poor on heroic and legendary that you'd need to prioritize killing enemies with your sniper here first. If you don't prioritize killing things like elites with your sniper rifle, you're never going to be able to advance. In fact, one of the things that makes this mission so difficult on legendary is there's a massive shortage of ammo. You need to make sure to conserve your sniper ammo because you need it for later bosses like hunters and strong elites. Wasting too much sniper ammo in the first section of the map is detrimental to you on heroic and legendary, but on normal and easy you can pretty much get by. I'm also going to leave the gameplay on normal for a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about the art style changes that they decided to go with for the remaster versus the old graphics. First, I played this mission through on easy with the old graphics, and then I played on normal with the updated graphics, and I must say that I prefer the updated graphics a lot more in this mission specifically. There are definitely other missions that did a disservice to Halo 1 with their updated graphics and the choices that they decided to go with, but I think this is one of the missions that actually really shines on the remastered graphics, and I'll be talking about that throughout this video. On this next section, I wanted to show how easy it was to stay alive, so I didn't kill any of the enemies and I just kind of let them shoot me. As you can see, I take all of those shots, and eventually when my teammates do show up to help, they end up killing all the enemies for me. Easy difficulty, and I'm gonna say this again, is super easy in Halo 1 and pretty much all of the Halos. But don't think of easy difficulty as the coward's way out. Think of it as a tutorial level. I had Lators play through this mission on easy. She's a gamer herself, but she prefers simulation games like Sid Meier's Civilization and The Sims, so she doesn't really get a lot of experience with first-person shooter. For her, the inherent difficulty in this game, even on easy difficulty, was just mastering the controls and mastering the enemies that she was fighting. While easy is very easy for someone like me who can play through on legendary, for her it's pretty much the perfect difficulty because she's jumping into this thing with nothing.
Oh, that's not... I forgot. Ah!
Oh, that was...
I don't know where it went!
You're okay.
I forgot what... Yeah, that.
I've said this before, but if you're going to try to get someone to play Halo and get into first-person shooters in general, you want to start them out slow and then ramp up the difficulty. Tors didn't start this mission that great, but by the end, she was confident that she could at least play through on normal. I think too many people try to take their friends who have never played FPS or even Halo before and try to jump them into the game with no experience. It's just not going to work. Going back to talking about higher difficulties though, this part of the mission isn't too difficult if you're playing on heroic or legendary, assuming you don't waste too much of your sniper ammo. On legendary, I ended up dying a couple times to this elite on the right, and it taught me a very important lesson on legendary. You need to make sure to prioritize elites and the big guys first, and if you can do that, pretty much every other enemy in the game's a pretty big pushover. You can tell that my assault rifle isn't great at long range, and I do have to waste some of my sniper ammo in grenades to take out some of these grunts on the ridge that are just too far away from my assault rifle to reach. This is another big reason that you end up running out of ammo in a lot of your guns, is because enemies just take more bullets to kill. Your guns don't do as much damage and definitely don't do as much damage at range, so you end up using more ammo. But here's a really good example of the difference between heroic and legendary. On heroic, I'm able to kill this red elite with just my assault rifle, but on legendary, even letting this guy get near me is almost an instant death. There is a massive difference between heroic and legendary, just like the massive difference between easy and normal. Heroic is technically how this game was meant to be played, and I definitely had the most fun on this mission while playing on Heroic. Legendary, though, is just meant to make you mad. Enemies are more frequent, have higher health, and do more damage. Let's go back to easy for a little bit, because I actually really enjoy this part on easy and normal difficulty. What makes this part a little bit different on easy and normal is it's a lot easier to keep your Marines alive, and you kind of feel like you're fighting in a squad. Sure, you're Master Chief, so you take point most of the time, but I like having the banter of the Marines behind me. And even on normal difficulty, it's very easy to keep your Marines alive. And when you get to this section and your Marines are still alive, most of the time on easy and normal difficulty, whichever section you go to, Cortana will order your Marines to assault the other side. It's kind of cool having Cortana controlling your Marine squad mates while you go do your own thing. And obviously, since Marines die so easily on Heroic and Legendary difficulty, you really don't get this experience. It's kind of cool to show that this mission can play completely different and have a completely different feel if you just change the difficulty, which I think was awesome about the Halo games. On my Legendary playthrough, I actually managed to keep my Marines alive until this section, but as soon as we split up, they ended up getting completely destroyed by the Covenant and especially the Shade turrets. One interesting thing about this mission is there is no way for you to get the Halo Combat Evolved pistol in it. Now normally the pistol is going to be your best weapon against the elites and grunts and jackals and pretty much every enemy in the game on Legendary, but I love this mission because it actually doesn't have any of them in it. You're forced to use the sniper rifle ammo that you get at the start. And yes, you get a lot of bullets, but by the end, you've killed so many elites that most of the time you run out before you even get halfway through the mission. And this will create a certain effect that the Tours never got to experience and we will definitely talk about later. And if we go back to the graphics, I do want to say that I still do prefer the remastered graphics this far into the mission. I think the night effect with the remastered graphics is fine. It's not too bright and it gives us a good indication that we're fighting at night, and I like the increased resolution.
That's kind of cool. But it's still cool.
Yeah, like the cruiser's there, but it's all black in the old graphics, and then you turn on the new, and
I mean, you can kind of see it more distinctly, but I think this is more realistic.
yeah.
The nighttime skies. I should probably take care of it.
Should probably kill those guys. Yeah.
Like the nighttime sky is really pretty. Like there was shooting stars and stuff that you could see. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Tours does agree with me that the new graphics in this particular mission are better. I actually can't find any section in this mission that I prefer on the old graphic. And that's saying a lot, because normally I can find one or two spots in most missions that I prefer the old graphics on. Now, even on Legendary, I'm pretty good at this next section where you have to essentially just kill a bunch of Covenant that are coming down on a grav lift. I love this section on Heroic and Legendary because by this time you've probably lost all of your Marine comrades and you have to kill all of these people alone. I ended up having one Marine left, but he didn't do that much for me. It's Legendary. You may also notice that here on Legendary, I'm forced to use my plasma rifle. I ran out of ammo using the assault rifle and have to switch to using Covenant weapons. And we'll see later on in this mission that this effect will be further compounded. Notice real quick that Tours playing through on easy has a ton of ammo in her assault rifle. And this is because the ammo famine effect is just not apparent in easy and normal difficulties. I also want to point out that this is easily my favorite part of the map as far as looks go. The purple light from the middle just seems to touch everything on the battlefield, and you can definitely tell that it's the central focal point. The only reason I didn't play it in the remastered graphics while playing on Legendary is so I could easily see the silhouettes of the enemies. On Legendary, the basic strategy is make sure to kill the elite first. Things will drop down once all of the previous enemies from the previous waves are dead. You need to make sure to shoot the elite first so that the grunts scatter. And on Legendary, you essentially just rinse and repeat this tactic until all the waves stop coming at you. Even on Legendary, it's not that hard of a section if you have good accuracy and you can take down the elite first, because like I said before, most of the general mobs in the game, like grunts and jackals, aren't that hard to kill on their own. No real strategy is needed on easy mode. You can see that I basically can sit in the middle of this grav lift, melee, and shoot whoever I want. Also, my Marines are able to pretty much kill anything that I don't mop up. There is a massive difference between easy and normal, as I've said many times in this video, and you can tell by the gameplay that I can't just sit in the middle. It's not too easy for me to die, but things do require a fair bit more skill to kill. But to be honest, there isn't a real big difference between heroic and normal in this section, and pretty much the whole rest of the mission in general. You can tell that I'm able to pretty much dodge everyone in the middle by just moving around cleverly, and this is on heroic. Now I do have a fair bit of Marines alive at this point, but I'm still able to dodge most of these guys' attacks, and this would never be possible on Legendary. On Legendary, you really have to keep your distance, or you can get chewed up by these guys fairly quickly. One thing I want to point out is just how fast these jackals shoot on Legendary compared to the other difficulties. Look at the jackals firing on Legendary. The bullets come out far faster and they are far more accurate on Legendary difficulty, which is why you have to keep your distance. The next task in this mission is the hunter fight, and as you can see on easy difficulty, the hunters don't even really pay any attention to me. In this clip, I'm actually trying to get the hunters to shoot, hit, or do anything to me. I wanted to benchmark their damage, but they were more interested in my Marines. In the Legendary fight, they were definitely interested in my Marines, but they ended up killing them pretty much instantly. It made this fight very difficult because I didn't have any Marines to distract, and the best way to kill a hunter on Legendary is just to snipe it in the back. The hunters are also much more aggressive. They will go for you no matter what. They never just wander around. They're always looking and shooting at you, which makes it difficult because they're very armored. Just in case you were wondering, Tors used the shade turret to kill the hunters pretty effectively.
Dude, you better get out.
No!
You gotta start. You gotta bob and weave with them.
Nah. Standing my ground.
It is easy.
On Heroic, the hunters are a little less aggressive than their Legendary counterparts, and they weren't able to kill my Marines as fast, so I was able to use my Marines as distractions and kill the hunters pretty easily with a sniper rifle to the back. I also want to point out that in this section, on Normal, I turned down the brightness on my capture device to kind of show you what this mission would look like on a very dim screen, and I actually really love it. That effect of the purple gravlift being the only source of light in the entire arena is compounded here, and it looks awesome. I think if you mix everything together with the music, the atmosphere, the fighting, your Marine banter, it's just a perfect little engagement. After you defeat the hunters, you go into the belly of the ship, and you're looking for Captain Keyes at this point. What's very interesting about this part is there are so many differences between all of the difficulties. The next section involves you in a room with all of your Marines holding out against the Covenant that come in from all sides. On easy difficulty, you only have to fight one invisible sword elite, and he is very easy to kill. On normal, you'll have to kill at least 2 invisible sword elites. Not a very difficult task because sword elites don't have shields, but it's still more. Also, I do apologize, some of my footage messes up at this point. I have no idea why. It's across all of the difficulties. On Heroic, I had to fight 4 sword elites, and they were much stronger and killed all of my Marines, even on Heroic difficulty. They even got me killed a couple times. There's also a significantly higher amount of waves that will attack you in this section. This section is very quick on easy and normal, but on Heroic you get probably about double the waves. You notice that on Heroic I actually end up switching back to the old graphics, and that's because I need to be on point in this section. It's very difficult. Though, like all previous sections, I do prefer the new graphics as far as visuals go in this section. I think it looks much more alien. I think you could definitely make the argument that the original graphics are much darker and I guess a little bit creepy, but you don't have nearly as many floor accents and different colorful things that you have in the new graphics that truly let you know that you're in an alien environment.
The new
Yeah, this
graphics
is
looks-
pretty alien. Or not pretty, you know. It's a pretty alien. We should be alien.
They're both fairly alien, but the new graphics definitely hype up that alienness of it because there's a lot more purple, like on the ground and stuff. You definitely know that you're not in like a human place, because what human would have purple stuff everywhere?
Has an alien color. Sorry, Marine.
You should also notice that there is no mini-boss hunter section in the easy section of this mission. The 2 jackals that I gunned down right here should be hunters on normal, heroic, and legendary difficulty. They're actually a pretty hard fight. On legendary, a lot of times you blow through a lot of your sniper ammo, killing the countless sword elites that come after you. And because those sword elites are so good at killing your friendly Marines, it's very hard to have Marines left by the end of this. By this point on Legendary, I had already wasted most of my sniper. I only had 7 bullets left to kill 2 hunters. I had to make sure to sneak around and make every bullet count, because on Legendary it can take 2 sniper shots in the back to kill a hunter. Now by the end I did end up coming out on top, but I did have some serious ammo issues. And I was telling you guys before that this level really makes you scavenge off the stuff that you find. You end up playing most of this mission with Covenant weapons, because there's just no UNSC help. Now on Heroic, thanks to some clever shooting and some dead Marines, I did have more ammo than normal, but you'll see pretty quickly that this stuff runs out. And I told you guys that on Easy and Normal this problem isn't apparent, and you can see that Tors, playing on Easy, still has plenty of ammo. The next task that you have in this mission is you have to navigate to this large room, and there's a button on the floor that you need to press to let your Marines through a larger door. There are essentially two approaches to this mission. You either drop down and just hit the button, which is very easy on easy and normal difficulty, or take the long way down. Again, I wanted to test and see how long it would take for me to actually die on easy if I just had everyone shoot at me and I didn't shoot back at all. And this is cool because there's no marine help. Something pretty funny actually ended up happening. In the crossfire, one of these grunts actually ends up getting shot by his own teammates and he dies. So you don't actually have to shoot anybody on easy difficulty to get some kills. On Heroic and Normal, I was able to move through this section pretty quickly because I had most of my Marines alive, so as soon as I hit the button on the bottom floor, my Marines came to help me. By this point on Legendary, you're probably pretty much out of ammo and all of your Marines are dead, so it doesn't even matter if you're going to hit that button on the bottom of this section because no Marines are going to help you anyway. There is sort of a silver lining on Legendary though, because if you can push through these rooms, you can actually skip a lot of the waves that come in to fight you. This is another reason that if you're just trying to have the best Halo experience, just play through on Heroic. There's no need to really skip any sections on Heroic if you're a decent Halo player. But on Legendary, even if you're pretty well versed in the mission, there are spots where you just have to skip. But I do want to point out that you shouldn't feel bad or feel like you're cheating if you're skipping different sections on Legendary because, well, it's Legendary. You can die very quickly, as obviously you can see on screen. This is the first time you really get into the corridor fighting of this level, and it's actually sort of the reason that I really enjoy this level. Call me a scrub, but I almost always find a way to get turned around in these corridors.
Yeah, I played this level 4 times. The first 3 I got lost. By the 4th time I had it, but the first 3 I got lost, even after playing it consecutively.
Well, I'm really going to pay attention.
There's nothing really to this section. Essentially all you have to do is target the elites first, like we were doing before, so that the grunts and jackals scatter. Obviously this is a lot easier said than done on Legendary. There's a lot of difficult fights, especially because at this point your ammo is pretty much non-existent. But then we come into this next room. This is really the first room that I can say that I hate with a passion on Legendary. Very fun on Heroic and every other difficulty, but on Legendary this room, oh, it hurt me. The challenge in this room is that some elites do spawn up high while some spawn down low. You're going to have most of your enemies on the ground with you, but there are also enemies that will spawn above you that you can't get to yet. And remember how I said earlier that the assault rifle on Heroic and Legendary is not that great, especially at long range? Especially if you've wasted your sniper beforehand, this is an incredibly difficult room to take down with just an assault rifle, a plasma rifle, or really any gun in the game other than a sniper rifle. So while on easy, normal, and sometimes even Heroic if you have your sniper rifle, this isn't too bad of a section. But on Legendary, this section took me 20 minutes alone. Basically all I could do was poke out, shoot an enemy, and then go back to cover. Rinse and repeat until all the enemies were dead. It's one of the first times I prefer the new graphics functionally here because you can see your bullets a lot better, at least the energy ones. This is also when the game starts to get cheeky and starts spawning things behind you. At this point in the playthrough, I'm thinking to myself, okay, these are the last couple enemies that I can clean up and then I'll be past this section. It's already been 20 minutes at this point. But then as soon as you clear out all the enemies that were originally there, without a checkpoint, the game spawns in an elite and a bunch of grunts behind you. Somehow, I made my way back to cover, but I would have been so mad if I died there. Now, in easy and normal difficulty, it's important to note that enemies do not spawn behind you in this section. If you kill all of the enemies, they will only spawn in front of you, out of the doors in front of you, not behind. On Heroic, this problem wasn't that bad because, as you can see, I have a lot of Marines alive, and the Marines were actually the first things that these Covenant were engaging when they spawned behind me. And I also knew they were coming, so I was able to get the drop on that elite with my sniper. Watching this playthrough back, I found it kind of weird that they spawned a red elite behind me in my Heroic playthrough, but on Legendary, they spawned a blue elite behind me. You'd think they'd spawn the red one on Legendary. Also, just wanted to take some time to kind of appreciate the remastered graphics here as far as the landscape goes. I found on the old graphics you couldn't really tell how high up you were. I really didn't understand where I was, but on the remastered graphics, thanks to all the mountains and just the landscape in general, you can tell that you're very high up. I know it may seem like something small, but it's something for me that changes the whole feel of the level. Also, something really weird happened here on my Heroic playthrough. Might as well just go over it. I was looking to see why the checkpoint wasn't going, and it was because of this elite that was just running into the wall. So he gave me an easy kill. I got him out of it though. I got him out of his trance just to murder him. So it worked out for me. Interestingly, there is a hunter fight here for all difficulties. Remember earlier, easy didn't have to fight hunters, but this time easy does have to fight hunters. But as you can see, they're really kind of a pushover. I think we've talked just about enough about hunters in this video. This is the last hunter fight though, and just remember that on normal, heroic, and legendary, the hunters are going to be a lot harder, just because their AI is a lot more smarter. More smarter? Can you say that? Is that right? More smarter? How would you say that? They would just be smarter. The Taurus is helping me here.
Doesn't really make me afraid of a hunter right now. I have no ammo though.
That's fine.
Yup. Oh, see?
Oh, you shot your Marine right in the head. Look, he's just laying there like dead.
I got his ammo.
And you picked up his. Now you're standing on his dead body. Like, yeah, that's exactly how you do it.
I was doing kind of slow at first.
After the hunter fight, you move to more corridor combat, and I want to talk a little bit about the graphics of the corridors in this section because I didn't talk about them earlier. While I do love the darkness of these corridors in the old graphics, I definitely think that they could look more alien. While the new graphics are definitely a lot brighter, which I don't really like too much, I do really love how purple the new graphics are. It really shows that this is an alien place, and you can see all the blue accents as well, which just kind of ties it all together. The next section is essentially just a large massive covenant in more and more corridors in the first room that we came in before. Nothing is too incredibly difficult about this section until you get to the top, especially on legendary. This is really when the game starts to mess with you. On easy and normal difficulty, there will be enemies that spawn in front of you. All you have to do is kill them and move on. But on legendary difficulty, those enemies spawn, and enemies also spawn behind you. Now, because I didn't have much ammo or any real grenades, I decided to just backtrack and fight all the enemies on the same playing field. Which is, of course, something that you don't have to do on easy. As you can see, on the easy playthrough, all I had to do was just mow through all of the enemies that came out of this doorway. There wasn't even an elite. I think it was just one jackal. Oh no, there's the elite. But either way, there's not a lot of extra challenge in this section on easy and normal. When I set out to make this video, I wanted to show all of the different reasons why legendary was so difficult in Halo, and I hope some of these reasons have showed you guys. If you can fight your way through that, you'll make your way to this control room with a bunch of sleeping grunts. There should be 2 normal elites as well as 1 sword elite. What's interesting about this room is there's no change in the actual variation of the enemies here. On easy, normal, heroic, and legendary, you're gonna fight 2 elites, a bunch of grunts, and a sword elite. I found that going after the regular elites first is the best way to do it. If you can kill those, then the grunts will scatter, and then all you have to do is stick the sword elite for an easy kill. Not an incredibly easy task on legendary, but eventually we got through it. Once you're done in the control room, all you have to do is fight through a bunch of Covenant in corridors. Of course, these Covenant come in different variations on the different difficulties, but I think you all realize that by now. And at the end of your journey, you will come to the first prison room. I never really understood why they had 2 prison rooms, with one with nothing in it except dead Marine. Sure, there is a health pack in this first one if you know where to look, but I always kind of thought it'd be cool to find some Marines here. After fighting through some more corridors, you can activate this panel and you will see a cutscene. This is when you are finally reunited with Captain Keyes.
Marines, lock and load your weapons. Let's be ready to move.
Yes, sir.
While the Covenant had us locked up in here, I overheard the guards talking about this ring world.
Wait, what?
I overheard the guards talking about this ring world.
How does Captain Keyes overhear the guards talking about Halo if they never speak English in Halo 1? I don't know. Someone can probably tell me in the comments section. Either way, you fight through more corridors to get back to the control room. This is generally the time where I get lost. I always take a wrong turn somewhere.
Like if I were to go around the circle, like every time I feel like you go around a circle, you might get a little turned around.
Okay.
So these, I think, are all meant there psychologically to mess you up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
When you make it back to control room, you figure out that Foehammer can't take you off of this ship. You have to find your own way out, and you also have to make sure that Keyes doesn't die. The rest of this mission is pretty much smooth sailing on easy, normal, and heroic. On my playthroughs for those difficulties, Keyes never even came close to dying. I never even came close to dying. You just have so much Marine help, and the Covenant forces that get thrown at you aren't that heavy. But on Legendary, mess around for even a second, and Keyes is going to end up getting killed, and you're going to have to end up restarting the checkpoint. And the worst part about restarting this checkpoint on Legendary, at least on my playthrough, was every time I restarted, I had to do all of the control room section over again, which means I had to kill these invisible elites, which wasn't too difficult, but it just added more time. And it was really upsetting because I had to restart this checkpoint a couple different times. This is insanely frustrating because sometimes even though you kill as many Covenant as possible, Keyes still ends up dying. which of course, like I said before, wasn't a problem that I ran into on easy, normal, or heroic difficulties. Though it's not too frustrating because the mission is actually almost over if you've made it past this point. After fighting through some short corridors, you will come to the end of the mission. You'll get a cool little cutscene of Captain Keyes using the spirit in a weird way to kill some hunters. And that's pretty much it for the mission, guys. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of all of the different difficulties, as well as the breakdown between the old and remastered graphics. I currently don't have any plans to make this a dedicated series on my channel, though I do have some other missions in the whole Halo universe that I could definitely do this on. If I do end up doing a similar video to this on a different mission in Halo, I would want it to be one of my more favorite missions, ones that I know pretty well. But if you've made it all the way to the end, I do want to thank you all for watching. And if you have made it all the way to the end and you've watched the whole video, comment what down in the comment section below. I want to thank you all for watching. Please stay notable, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.